Welcome to the Trust in Industrial AI video series, where we explore how to implement AI with both speed and confidence in safety-critical industries. In today's episode, we'll explore why it's so important to carefully manage risk when you work with AI in industries such as healthcare and energy. I'm your host, Martine, and today I'm joined by Helga and Christian. Welcome to both of you.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great. So I think we'll start with a question to you, Helga. So you actually used to be a medical doctor before diving into the field of AI. So in your perspective, why is it so important to think about risk when using AI in a setting like healthcare?
So the healthcare sector faces a lot of challenges right now. There's worker shortage, there's budget cuts, and of course you have the demographic change of an increasingly aging population, what we call a silver tsunami. And better use of health data enhanced by AI is a very promising solution. You can do better and faster diagnostics, and you can solve a lot of logistical issues, but there is a really narrow margin for error in healthcare, and that necessitates a really careful use of AI. And there are challenges to using AI in healthcare, such as bias and interoperability with a lot of legacy systems in the healthcare sectors, and of course there's ethical dilemmas to consider. So transparency and explainability will be of the output of the AI models will be crucial to earn the trust of healthcare professionals and the patients. So if you don't manage the risk properly, you might end up with a product that people don't trust and they won't use it.
Yeah, that's true. And like Christian, you come from the oil and gas industry. What's it like in the oil and gas industry compared to healthcare?
Well, AI is expected to have a lot of potential and being adopted in the next years to come. So it's expected to provide, on the one hand, safety and efficiency and enhance those. But the flip side is that it can also contribute to accidents if it doesn't behave as one expects. So the authorities has a great focus on the responsible implementation of AI within the industry to ensure that it does not have a negative impact on safety and environment.
So we really have to manage these risks carefully. Can you give some examples of some typical risks in the healthcare industry?
So the most obvious one is that it's trained on the wrong data set. So size and age and gender matter in healthcare. You design products that are suitable for smaller children and design products that are useful for adults. It's the same with the AI. And if the data that the AI models is trained upon doesn't look like the patient population you will use this AI model on, it will not give accurate predictions. So that's the main risk, not having the right data.
That's interesting. Are there any similar risks in the oil and gas industry?
Yeah, similar to what Helga mentioned, we need the right data and we need quite a bit of it. And we have a lot of data, but most of the data is on the more normal operating condition, the nominal states. While we're quite often looking at the anomalies or the edge cases, which is of more interest. And there we don't have a lot of data. So it's how do we take what we have and try to train the AIs in a smart way so that we can operate within the limits of what the AI is trained for.
So both of you actually mentioned a lot of risks related to data, but are there any other risks that we need to consider?
Yes, we often see that AI is being developed by data scientists, AI professionals. But the domain knowledge is not often well enough represented so that you actually understand how the technology is being used, the scenarios, the physics of what's going on in the domain. So it's important to have that cross-discipline team involved to make sure that you capture all the physics or the things that are going on that you need to be able to understand and control.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's not enough to just understand the risk of the AI technology. You actually need to understand the industry and the context and the system it operates within, right?
That's right.
Yeah, great. So now we know that there are quite a lot of risks related to using AI, but how do we then manage these risks?
One important thing to address, of course, again, is the data, and there is a lack of available high-quality data sets to train on. And a promising solution to this is synthetic data, and this the DNV research group is working a lot with this, and we recently were assigned a major role in a European-funded research project called Cynthia. And Cynthia aims at accelerating the AI adoption in healthcare. And in Cynthia, we will use generative AI to create synthetic data that mimics patient data.
So you actually use AI then to create synthetic data that you train the AI models on?
Yes. And through that process, we will also learn more where and in what part of a sort of AI development lifecycle it's good to use synthetic data and for what purposes. So we get a better understanding of synthetic data in this field.
Interesting. And is this similar within oil and gas?
Yes, I think looking at just the AI module is insufficient. You have to look at the system where AI is incorporated. And you need to consider not just the digital part of the system, but the physical representation of the industrial system with, for instance, a drilling system and all the equipment that goes in there. But not only that, you also need to consider the human factor side of things. How is the system going to communicate uncertainty to the user so that they have the right situational awareness? And how is the organization as a whole governing both the development and operation of these systems?
Yeah, I actually have a background in psychology, so that's the human element is particularly interesting to me. But now we've talked a lot about risks, and some of our listeners might be a little afraid or discouraged to start using AI. What would your advice to our listeners be?
You talked about domain experts, and there are a lot of domain experts in healthcare. You have to train a long time to be a doctor or a nurse. So there's this large group of people that have the competence to support patients, and they have training in ethical dilemmas, and they're also trained in managing risks. So healthcare is a high-risk life and death place. The healthcare sector is also really familiar with product safety legislation and thinking, and this applies, of course, to AI in healthcare as well. And the last advice, it's important to always remember to have a human in the loop for these important decisions for patients. Patients in the healthcare sector are at their most vulnerable point in life, and we need to make sure that the right people with the right competence use this technology, but they are making the decisions.
Great. And what about you? Any final advice, Christian?
Yeah, so the oil and gas industry is similar to healthcare. It's very used to deal with risks and uncertainties. But you have to actually start building that into your AI system. So you actually plan for both the risks and the uncertainty and how you communicate that to the end user. So you know when it's actually working as intended or when it's hallucinating or providing incorrect information. So you have to design the system to be trustworthy, not as an afterthought.
That's an interesting point. So you actually have to build safe AI from the very beginning. That can't come later.
That's right. And we have recommended practices that describe the methodologies and the requirements for how to do this.
Thank you. Those are, a lot of great insights. I think some of my key takeaways is definitely to start thinking about managing risk right from the beginning. So build safe AI is definitely a takeaway. Understanding the domain and the context, and then it's more likely that people will actually be trusting the system and using it as well, so you can reap the benefits. Great. So thank you to both of you, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you have any questions or want to learn more about how DNV can support with safe application of industrial AI, then please visit our website. Thank you.